In the good old days, they'd rip him out of that seat so fast.
In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive.
The whole apparatus of the state was set up against me.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
I'm not going to help nobody get something my Negroes don't have. If I'm going to die, I'll die now, right here fighting you.
I love the old days. You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks.
To dramatize this blatant injustice and to demand that the federal government not put a cent in this city unless it decides to face the realities of desegregation.
If you're going to talk about a revolutionary situation, you have to have people who are physically able to wage revolution, who are physically able to organize and physically able to do all that is done.
The story of police brutality in this country may have come at the forefront for some with the killing of George Floyd. Mass protests ensued. Americans took to the streets with Black Lives leading for hopeful change in defunding the police and putting money spent on tanks, drones, ammunition, body armor, and militarized weapons to be diverted back into the community. This moment in time is also a time of reckoning. A time of righting wrongs. Unbelievably, Washington football chairman Daniel Snyder waved goodbye to his former racial slur of a team name only because corporate America said so. While it is progress, they are not per se the Lone Ranger. Established in 1972 were the Texas Rangers baseball team. Let's go over the history of the name, shall we? The first job of the Rangers, formed in 1835 after Texas declared independence from Mexico, was to clear the land of Indians for white settlers. The Rangers oppressed black people, helping capture runaway slaves trying to escape to Mexico. In the aftermath of the Civil War, they killed free blacks with impunity. In the book, Cult of Glory, the bold and brutal history of the Texas Rangers, one passage reads, a subsequent letter from Ranger Henry McGee was published in a Waco newspaper. Fort McCavitt was a pretty rough place, McGee said, and the N-words here need killing. Another dreadful reading. In 1878, a black woman named Ida Miller sent a letter to Fritz Tegener, a justice of the peace in Travis County. She wrote of an incident months earlier when multiple Rangers murdered not only her husband, but one of her little girls. In 1877, the Rangers were drinking at a saloon when black soldiers began dancing with Mexican señoritas. The Rangers hated the sight, so they pulled out their guns and shot up the establishment. A bystander was murdered. The Rangers were not heroes. They were scum of the earth, white supremacist villains. They burned peasant villages and slaughtered innocents. They committed war crimes. Their murders of Mexicans and Mexican Americans made them as feared on the border as the Ku Klux Klan in the South, writes Tribune columnist Peter Chapman, quoting Cult of Glory. In the early 20th century, Rangers played a key role in some of the worst episodes of racial violence in American history along the Texas-Mexico border. Mexicans were run out of their homes and subject to mass lynchings and shootings. The killings got so out of control that the federal government threatened to intervene. Their job was to seize and hold Texas for the white man. When farm workers, most of them Mexican American, went on strike in 1966, some were beaten and arrested by Rangers. An old saying is every Texas Ranger has Mexican blood. It's on his boots. For most of their nearly 200 years of existence, they have been an instrument of white supremacy in Texas, says Benjamin Johnson, a Texan and history professor. It's not like Texas isn't capable of acknowledging a troubled past and taking action. Just 1 month ago, the statue of a Texas Ranger was removed from Love Field. It stood there, a symbol of hate, since 1962. Race is uncomfortable. It is the elephant in the room, as Greg Popovich once stated, but it is this uncomfortable feeling, an aroma of stiffness and displeasure that white people feel. The club has already said it will not change the name, giving sweet nothings to their fans in hopes of garnering support for the backlash it will undoubtedly and rightly face if they continue on this path of negligence. If you'd like to hear more thought-provoking content like TYT Sports on Facebook and to help in my journey to keep media independent, go to tyt.com/Rick.